Hello, everybody, and welcome to Positive Fandom. I'm your host, Mmmm, and today I'm going to be doing my spoiler review of The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 3, guys. So, as you already know, we've been enjoying The Mandalorian Season 3. And it's been amazing. So far, we certainly have been seeing a lot of different things. The episodes seem to be going rather fast. I'm enjoying every minute of it. So I don't know how the rest of you feel about it, but I've been enjoying The Mandalorian. Some pretty amazing things did happen in the episode so far, and I do want to say hello to Tom Jr. Jackson, my moderator and collaborator. This is my season 3, episode 3 review. Guys, please like and subscribe to Positive Fandom if you haven't done so yet. And Tom, unfortunately, I don't think Catherine will be joining us today, but guys, check out the Phantasmagorium channel. Catherine normally does this show with me, but I had to change the time of the show because I had an emergency yesterday. So I needed to take care of that yesterday at 5, which is when I normally do my Mandalorian season 3 episode reviews at 5 p.m. day of. Couldn't do that yesterday, so I had to cancel that. So unfortunately, Catherine couldn't be here right now, but normally Catherine would be here with me doing the reviews. But if you do have a chance, check out the Phantasmagorium channel where Catherine is on. Also, please subscribe to Tom Jr. Jackson's channel. You can see his channel here, right here, the link in the description. Please do support our fellow creators, guys. And of course, tomorrow night, I will be streaming with Julian at 11 p.m., 8 p.m. Pacific on the Burnettwork for PGS Treks, our Picard Season 3, Episode 5 spoiler review. Please do subscribe to the Burnettwork. And on Saturday, Lorena and I are going to be doing a watch party for the movie Smile at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And finally, it's a lot, right, Tom? You can join me and Russ Whitfield right here in Positive Fandom for our show, Sunday Brunch, guys, at 10:30 a.m., where we do all the parlay in the fandom. So please do check it out. So thanks, guys, for joining me here for this. This is a spoiler review. Hi, Tom. I hope you are well. And Julian Mushkin is here. Says, this is the way. Yes, Julian, this is the way. And certainly this episode was very interesting to watch. We had situations where, Din Djarin is still with Bo-Katan on Mandalore. And, I have to say that the last thing that I was expecting for them to have to go through was an attack right after Bo-Katan saved Din Djarin, and it just was so shocking to see what happened. And of course, I'm talking about what happens in this episode where things look fine, but then the next thing you know, after Bo-Katan and Mando are, I guess, essentially at a point where they think everything is fine, they're under attack. It's a lot of TIE fighters who are attacking them. It's a huge amount. And there's no way that Mando and Bo-Katan can kind of, push away these attackers. They have no choice but to fight and then eventually run. But before they completely run away, Bo-Katan goes back to Kalevala, obviously, to pick up, I think, the N1 with Mando, only to have them blow up her house. Now, that was something that I was not expecting. I wasn't expecting anybody to go ahead and bomb Bo-Katan's castle. It is really unfortunate. The squadron of Imperial TIE interceptors pretty much ambushed them. And, even though they managed to get a lot of the ships, Bo-Katan and Din managed to fight off a lot of these TIE fighters. Unfortunately, they bomb her castle and she doesn't have a home anymore. Now, this episode is called The Convert. We really don't know what's going on and why she got attacked. But what we do know is that we recognize those as TIE fighters, more or less. And, honestly, I almost wonder whether or not it has to do with a bunch of Imperial warlords that she's fought over the years, from what they're saying. Maybe that's who is coming back for payback. But why there and why now? It seemed very, very odd that Bo-Katan would be put in this position, especially after having such a victory with Din. Now, Hey, Darth. Oh, hey. Hi, Stephanie. How are you? It was wonderful, wasn't it, Stephanie? So good to see you, Stephanie, Jasnick Smuggler's Cantina. Check out her channel as well. Such a pleasure. Such a pleasure to see you here today. Wex Wuther is here as well. Says, hey, to the M, R to the M. Thank you so much, Wex Wuther. Darth Plato is also here. Says, hail, chat. Well, hail to you, Darth Plato. Such a pleasure. Yes, Stephanie, I loved it myself. And they were on such a high once Bo-Katan rescued him. They're kind of just sitting there, and she very plainly asks him, hey, Din, did you see anything down there? Did you discover anything down there? And, his response very much is, no, I didn't see anything. I think I didn't see anything down there. It was just, we went in the waters and that was it. Is Din telling the truth? Did he see anything? Does he have a reason not to go ahead and tell, Bo-Katan that he saw a mythosaur? Was he knocked out? He looks like he was knocked out. And Stephanie, I am doing very well indeed. Yeah, I think, there was maybe he did see it and he decided not to say anything, but certainly they were outnumbered. And this is where it really pays to have somebody who has your back. Bo-Katan now is kind of on the run. I'm sure she has houses other places, but maybe not within parsecs of where they are. She wasn't expecting an attack. Were you guys expecting someone to attack Bo-Katan's palace on Kalevala? I was shocked by it, but we have seen a few places get blown up in this Star Trek adventure, guys. And here is Stephanie's YouTube channel here, Smuggler's Cantina channel. Do please check out Stephanie's Smuggler's Cantina's channel right here on YouTube, guys. Like and subscribe. So you know something, everybody? No sooner could they couldn't even like enjoy this. They didn't have a minute to enjoy it. They're under attack, but because Din is a child of the watch, he knows exactly where to tell Bo-Katan to go. And so he sends her the coordinates, right? And she gets the coordinates and they zoom off into space. One of the covert places that the Mandalorians have to have just, at hand all the time in case someone's following them and they need to retreat. So the reality of being a Mandalorian these days, and especially a child of the watch, is that at any moment they have to be ready to get on out of there and have some place to retreat. And that's what we do see in this episode. Now, the episode ends up going to a place which is one of my absolute favorite places in the galaxy. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but I have an alter ego character that lives on Coruscant. Coruscant is kind of my home away from home. When I'm on Earth, I'm here in New York. But when I'm on the other planets, I go to Coruscant. And certainly Coruscant, shown in this show, is an amazing looking place. It's beautiful. Everybody is there. And we certainly do see people we recognize. Two of one of the main characters from season 2, and even one, Dr. Pershing, who was a big deal in the episodes in season 1, and I think maybe 2. I can't remember all the episodes. And of course, we also see this other Imperial officer as well, and her name is Elia Kane. So it is really interesting to see this situation that both of them are in. Of course, they were taken prisoner at the same time that Moff Gideon was taken prisoner, and I think he's escaped now, so that's in the way. It is quite a situation in that particular regard. And hey, single songwriter says Bo-Katan seen it, and now she will not take her helmet off because she wants to go back there and ride it to claim to be the true ruler of Mandalore. Something, single songwriter, you make a good point, and that is probably her motivation for doing what she's doing. She knows a good situation when she can see it, and she's going to take advantage of this. As you said, single songwriter, I don't think she's going to need the Darksaber. I think once she rides that particular beast and people see her ride that, people are just going to be so impressed with her. They just won't stop singing her praises, and maybe they'll make songs about her for a change. The Bosco Scenario says, great to see you and hope you're doing well. Thank you so much, Bosco Scenario. So good to see you as well. Yes, thank you, Stephanie. Coruscant the way it should be. Oh my gosh, who would not want to live on this place? I just love how they made it look. It's exciting. It's beautiful. It's got all these incredible lights. They keep showing us kind of the nightlife of Coruscant, and I think it's wonderful to see it here in sort of a live action version, where it looks like an incredible place to live. I've always thought that Coruscant, they even have this comment where they say, "Oh, welcome to Coruscant, the center of the galaxy," and it just sounds so incredible to even have a chance to even go to a place like Coruscant. But wouldn't you think that if they had to rehabilitate people, it wouldn't be on like the most famous planet ever? I guess they feel that it has to be there and that location because it's easier for them to keep eyes on these guys. But honestly, I was a little surprised that they got to come so close to the heart of where, the New Republic is. And then this constant questioning, of course, these two characters are here. And guys, check out the Basco Scenario channel here. Here's the Basco Scenarios YouTube channel link. Do like and subscribe, guys. Yes, absolutely, Wex Ruther. I am getting all the mischief up on another planet. And after everything that happened in Andor, it's now many years later, and I am still on Coruscant, Wex Ruther, and it hasn't changed a bit. It's still fresh and amazing looking. Even through the Mon Mothma era, now I'm in this Mandalorian era, or whatever they want to call it, Wex Ruther. But I'm going to have the time of my life. I'm going to start to do my shorts again, so you guys know what's going on in Coruscant, what the 411 is, living it up in Coruscant. So, but I think it's funny when you see a show like this and it inspires you to be a creator and do something like that. See you later, Stephanie. I just love the idea of being able to kind of enjoy all of this fun stuff, guys. And I think that when they show us these scenes of Coruscant in its glory and it's at night and it looks beautiful, it's great. But guess who Coruscant is not great? I'm enjoying Bo-Katan character right now. Yes, Basco Scenario. She is wonderful in this episode too. But guess who just is not having a good time, even on the most beautiful city that we've ever seen, which, as far as I'm concerned, is Coruscant. It just looks so stunning. It's one of the most incredible cities ever. I think that they did such a beautiful job of making Coruscant look amazing. Is the two of the main characters that you would expect, who should be okay. I mean, after all, they're in this special program. They were allowed to go ahead and become normal citizens of Coruscant. They even have public housing, which is what I would going to call it. And it's this poor guy here, Dr. Pershing, who essentially captured Grogu. And he did say that the reason why Grogu is still alive is because of him, and that he kept the child safe. But it doesn't change the fact that he did use Grogu for, as let's say, a host, or even some of his tissue for experiments. We don't even know what he did to Grogu. You remember when Din found Grogu underneath that unit, that machine, and he pulled him out of there, and Pershing was like, no, he's fine. I don't really know if it's fair to go ahead and say that Grogu wasn't harmed. It looked really scary to me. So I don't know how you guys feel about it. He claims that Grogu's still alive because he was there in season 1. But we really don't know what happened to Grogu. Poor Grogu's been through so much. But between the two of them, between Pershing and, of course, Elia Kane, life doesn't quite seem quite right. And it is disturbing at how Elia kind of chats him up. At first, it looks like she's his friend. And then after all, what we learn is that she's trying to get him into trouble. Yeah, exactly. Tom, yeah. That sort of situation. It's really interesting seeing Pershing having to adjust to this lifestyle. This is not at all what he thought his life was going to be like. He finds his life has great accomplishments, and he does not understand why he's in a situation like this. He feels that he is one of the great contributors to science. That's how he's looking at things. He thinks that he is a great contributor to science, but for all practical purposes in this particular world, cloning has kind of taken a bad, rap. Single Strongwriter says she tricked the professor on purpose. She has a dark motive and may still be loyal to Moff Gideon. She certainly is, did that on purpose, Single Songwriter. And I absolutely love it. And to be honest with you, I think Katie, I think that's her name. Is it Katie O'Brien who plays this role? She is stunning in this. I just saw her play a role in Ant-Man the other day, and she was good in that. In fact, she might have been the best thing in Quantumania. And now she's playing this role, and I just love her sneakiness. I love her crazy optimism that isn't optimism at all. It's really just something to offset Dr. Pershing, to make Dr. Pershing confess to things he doesn't want to confess to, the poor fellow. And also, he confided in her. Is Dr. Pershing like the most gullible doctor, ever? I mean, he is talking to a droid that's counseling him. This droid is constantly saying, hey, do you resent anybody in the Republic? And normally it would be a human being who would go ahead and do this type of questioning, because human beings can actually detect nuances in a person's comments to see whether or not they're telling the truth. And so I was a little surprised that the Republic left it to this robot to question him. It obviously should have been a human being who, when he pauses and hesitates, that he was not being entirely truthful a lot of the time. Another very interesting thing about that as well is how he just decided on his own that he was going to take action with this woman. So, yes, it's Katie O'Brien. Thank you, Tom. Darth Vader says, it looked like a sting at first. I half expected it, but then happened in the end, went beyond that. Yes, it certainly did go beyond that. And hello to you, Joe Tyson. I sure hope you are well tonight. Of course, we are talking spoilers of The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 3 spoiler review. My co-host is not here tonight. She isn't available. I had to change the time. This is supposed to be last night, but I'm doing it now because, guys, I cannot stop talking about The Mandalorian. And Single Songwriter says, I wonder if he has a chip in his head. He keeps grabbing for his ear. This is a good point. Single Songwriter, is Dr. Pershing a clone himself? Who knows who this doctor is and where he came from necessarily? We know that he was heavily involved in the cloning program. We know a lot in regards to his involvement with Grogu, but we don't know as much as we could. And seeing him get up and do this speech about how the Republic has changed him, how it's great to be in the program, how things could be better. Yes, it could be a nervous tick, Darth Plato. It could be a lot of things. But certainly it's something I didn't notice in seasons 1 or 2, but they're letting us see it very, very clearly in this season. And perhaps that lets Katie O'Brien's character know, Elia Kane know, that he is not quite doing well in this Republic-run rehabilitation program. He really feels like everything he's done is so important. And, even though it's being utilized for nefarious purposes, and I think it does show that he has a character flaw. Now, what's even sadder is that there's this specific program that Elia Kane is involved in, and you guys all have seen it. You saw it before. Yeah, quite possibly. Hearing Moff Gideon being kind of released off on his own and no one has him, he managed to escape. A lot of those comments may not be true, but might have been something that was placed in there to make Pershing feel that there was a chance he could continue his work. So let's see. Darth Vader says Gideon is a first-rate actor behind the character. Yes. And Evil Face Bad. Hey, Evil Face Bad. I hope they go back on a fight and fight that creature in the water. Yeah, they will go back to it. Evil Face Bad. Don't you worry. Have no fear. they will be back on the surface of Mandalore at some point. I think that they would harvest all that green gem and make some cool looking jewelry out of it, but that's how I look at it. I don't know how anybody else sees it. I think they could make, a killing on Coruscant selling that stuff. Now, she mind wiped him for a dark reason. Absolutely, single songwriter. As you know, she brings him, poor Dr. Pershing. I keep saying poor Dr. Pershing. He may not be all there. I mean, I know he looks quite knowledgeable and with his faculties and everything, but there's a chance that he does not really have all his faculties. And so it is very interesting because, later on, Ilya does kind of do something to him after he gets caught. And of course, everybody is curious as to whether Pershing's mind was completely wiped. And of course, we won't ever know, but this thing is called the mind flare. And to me, the closest thing I could compare it to is shock therapy, where we know that removes memories from people who get caught. Pershing gets put into this machine. He thinks he's going to be doing experiments only to find himself captured. And when what's her name? I can never remember her name. When Elia Kane says, I want to hang out here because, this guy used to be a friend of mine. She's so good at manipulating these Republic leaders that he lets them stay in the room. She turns up the dial. And of course, it's brain fry for poor Dr. Pershing. I hate the fact of this man having to be in a position where he just cannot believe what's happening to him. This thing is really bothering him. And, he's so ignorant of it all. Dr. Pershing doesn't realize how much trouble he's in. He's in a whole world of trouble. He certainly is not in a good position. He's not where he thinks he should be. And he certainly doesn't understand what's happening to him. Is he really this ignorant? Or is he just a character who, is easy to manipulate? I don't really know. Maybe he's just looking for someone to be with. But the look of terror on his face when he realizes that his mind will be wiped and just have all that information removed is chilling. Yeah, maybe they didn't want it being exposed, Tom Jr. Jackson, that clone technology. And yeah, this is a good question that I thought about earlier. Evil Face Bad. Why didn't Bo tell Mando about the water creature? I think single songwriter certainly mentioned something about Bo-Katan wanting to just be the only person who knows that the creature is down in the bowels and the mines of Mandalore, so she can ride the mythosaur and then claim the throne. Even without the Darksaber, I think Bo-Katan could do that. And so here we see Dr. Crushing just absolutely terrified here, right? Absolutely terrified. And it's just unfortunate. Single Songwriter says the Mind Slayer. Could the Mind Slayer be what happened to Grogu? Yes, it could. Grogu's mind could have been partially erased. He wouldn't have known what to do. And maybe that's what they were doing when he was rescued by Din Djarin. Maybe Grogu's mind was being wiped. So that certainly is something to think about. Certainly the machine was being used. And certainly it was a situation where Grogu himself wouldn't be able to tell anybody until later on, if at all, what had happened to him. Certainly it would have been nice if Din had kind of figured out what was going on around poor little Grogu before he picked him up in that way. But that is just terrifying thought. Poor Grogu's mind was erased, which might also explain why he wasn't as advanced in the Force as he should have been going forward. And why he gets tired, why he's not able to do a lot of the simplest actions as a Jedi. It wasn't until Luke was there. I wonder if Luke could make him remember, about this. Honestly, the fact that Elias went ahead and turned the machine up all the way is shocking. And of course, that's something to think about going forward. Now, my next question is, we did see after this point, Bo-Katan, who certainly was one of the dominant characters in this after saving Din's life. Her whole world is turned upside down after losing her palace. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, I'm just putting this out there, guys. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Death Watch, excuse me, the Children of the Watch that might have blown up or reported something, even though it was TIE fighters. But I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of wanted Bo-Katan to come to their clan. Now, why? Why would they need her? I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, we saw it was TIE fighters, but why not? Why not have Bo-Katan as part of your crew? She's a powerful fighter. And if they can kind of manipulate Bo-Katan into being an actual member of the Children of the Watch, it would be something. It is ironic though, isn't it, that this is the same group that she kind of made fun of. And thank you, single songwriter. Thank you, single songwriter. Thanks so much for my Grogu art up there. It would be ironic, and it is ironic, I guess, that this is the same group that she was making fun of for Din for being in a cult and for kind of being part of this group that's a bit crazy. Din gave them a ton of money, right? All these years. And hey, Gary Bando Sandwich, up to 11. Hey, Gary, how are you? Bo is pure kick ass with her skills. Yeah, anybody would be happy to have her there. You remember how the Armorer was talking about Bo just 1 or 2 episodes before? She is someone who lost the Empire and she doesn't know what she's doing. And, the Armorer certainly has opinions about Bo. In fact, Bo knows all of those Mandos have opinions about her, who remember her from back in the day, guys, when Bo was an incredibly aggressive Mandalorian. They know what she's up to, and they know that the game is on. The game is on here. But will she actually ever become an actual member, a permanent member of the tribe of Children of the Watch, guys? I mean, do we really see her, even though she was kindly welcomed in and they patted her on the back and she kind of was there? We couldn't tell what she was thinking because we couldn't see her face. But I bet you if we could have seen her face at that moment, Bo-Katan's face was maybe in such shock and awe that here she is, after everything she talked about, after everything she's been through, here she is, a member of the Children of the Watch, that crazy organization she compared, these crazy people, this cult-like group, and now she is one of the same, just welcomed in with open arms after having bathed in the waters under the mines of Mandalore. It's funny how things can work out, even for a Mandalorian as skilled as Bo-Katan. And single songwriter says Moff knows all about her. He escaped, and I think he did the bombing into her castle. Yes. And you probably are right with that, single songwriter. And yes, absolutely. That does make sense. Tom Jr. Jackson says, maybe Bo will convince them to go back to Mandalore and they will encounter the mythosaur. Yes. And of course, Bo will be the first one there, hopping on the back of that mythosaur to claim what she believes is hers. This is the way. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Evil Face Bad. Talk about Star Wars. This is the way. Yes, I could talk about this all night long, guys. But I did just want to talk a little bit about what you guys thought after seeing this episode, which truly was eye-opening. Because even with Bo-Katan's helmet on, you can see it right there, what she may be thinking. Can you believe this is happening, people? Single songwriter says she has her own motive, but she does love the feeling of not being alone. Yes. And so I know, you guys know I love romance. And we know that the Mandalorians, yes, they do take in families, but they do have their own kids as well. Is it a possibility that she has eyes on Din? After all, it would be perfect. She rides the Mandalore. He has the Darksaber. A lot of it would be under control. She'd adopt Grogu. This could be quite a different feel to it altogether. The Bosco scenario says, she has not felt that acceptance, so she has the upper hand. Yeah. It's like I said, she was in her palace drinking prosecco or Cinzano or whatever she was sitting there drinking, all alone by herself in this big old palace. Yeah, who knows what could be happening there. Gary Bando says, brainwashed in the waters of Mandalore. It did have an effect over her. Bo-Katan is not the same person we saw in the beginning of this series, is she? She, after 3 episodes, has had quite a transformation, if you ask me. Julian says, how convenient that the Armorer didn't ask if Bo recited the creed as she went in the water. Yeah. Exactly. The armorer. Who is the armorer? Are we going to find out who the armorer is? I am dying to find out who this woman is. I don't think she's Sabine Wren. Um, but I kind of said she might be Sabine Wren only because of her ability to make weapons. And Sabine Wren kind of did that when she was in the academy. I think she joined the Empire Academy and learned how to make a horrible weapon, one really horrible weapon, but she was capable of doing that as well. Single Songwriter says the mythosaur looked at her, so it has Bo-Katan's image on its mind now. Now that's something I hadn't thought about, Single Songwriter. Of course, to ride an animal of such grandeur and stature, you have to connect with it. Bo-Katan is not, she's not a Jedi, but she might be the only other living thing that this particular creature has looked at in the eye and has made a connection, imprinted. She's imprinted on the mythosaur. Do people imprint on mythosaurs? These are such good questions. Single Songwriter, if she has been imprinted onto this mythosaur, I think we already know what the writing on the wall would be. Tom Jr. Jackson says, I thought that too, that you could tell the facial expressions from inside the mask. Right now, oh my gosh, the look on her face is worth $1 million. Okay, Julian says there's no way she's Sabine Wren. I hear you, Julian. I'm just trying to think of what other characters the armorer could be, since the armorer is a pretty important character who happens to be running Children of the Watch. So there's that situation. Yes, Single Songwriter, long ago Mandalorians would ride them. And according to the law, or at least the lore and history, the Mandalorians hunted them almost to a point of extinction. And from what I understand, Single Songwriter, and for many of you out there who saw this episode, the theory, one of the theories is, it's not my theory, it's someone else's theory. So God bless you, whoever came up with this, was that after that it was dormant underneath the mines in Mandalore for millennia, and that the bombing of the planet awakened the creature, and that's why it is out there swimming in the mines of Mandalore right now. It was dormant, and now that it's awakened, we might see quite a few of those ancient Mandalorian traditions coming back. Certainly, this is a tradition that's going to come back. We know that someone will ride this particular mythosaur, and that Mandalorian tradition will come back. Hey, Evil Face Bad. I didn't buy them, but I go online to YouTube and watch the comic guys, the Star Wars comics guys, read them and kind of dramatize them. So, did you read the Vader comics? Vader is good. Yoda has his own book, and it's not bad. Next month, the Ewoks will get their own book too. Thank you so much, Evil Face Bad. I've read a lot of the comics, as I said, through YouTube. I didn't buy all those comics for Star Wars. I just went ahead and went to Star Wars comics on here, a YouTube channel. And so I've been reading some of them. I'm going to go ahead and read the Vader comics there. I know there was a really cool one with Vader, Evil Face Bad, where he tries to go to where Padme's grave is. And when he goes there, apparently followers of Padme are still angry with Vader. And they try to trap him, and the plan is to kill him while he's there trying to visit Padme's memorial or grave, which was a very interesting thing. Something that the comics does that I like, which many of you are probably aware of, is that the comics are constantly showing what precarious lifestyle Darth Vader lives. If he's not taking shots from the Emperor's throwing him out on these impossible missions, Pandora box missions, where he's constantly in danger. And it's tough. It's tough being a Sith Lord serving the Emperor. So, I really like that the comics kind of explore a lot of those encounters where Darth Vader is really in danger all the time. Oh my gosh, this poor man always having to fight for his life. Now, let's talk about this, Julian. You think it's Rook Cass, member of Maul's Mandalorians. Okay, you know something? I don't know Rook Cass, although I know the name. And of course, he was part of the Death Watch, right, Julian? Am I correct? Is that he was part of the Death Watch under Maul? And of course, he has the helmet with the Darth Murian, I was going to say antlers, horns. Perhaps that's the case. Something to think about. Rook Cast. Single Songwriter says the armor is a member of the Mandalorians loyal to Maul. Okay, and once again, and those guys are from Death Watch, if I remember correctly, guys. Hey, Denice Gamer. Hey, Positive Fandom Chat. Hi, Denice Gamer. How are you? We're just talking about Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 3. There's a lot to talk about in this episode. So much fun things going on. Darth Vader says, I'm wondering if the armor is the villain. Yeah. Yes. You know, yeah. It's amazing how she's been able to keep things so quiet and a lot of information away from Din and pretty much everybody else. But what about Pa Vizsla? He's there. We've seen him. He's the first person to body check Din when Din went into the the caverns in season 1, where he's like, "Oh, really? Did you get something? Yeah, I'm gonna check you, bro." And he kind of like gets into a fight with Din, where they're fighting with their vibra blades. What about Paz Vizsla? Will he play a role in all this? Yeah, you guys are saying it could be Rook Cast. Absolutely. Is Rook Cast a man or a woman? Darth Plato says, I recall a comic story where Imperial officers plotted to assassinate Vader because they saw Vader is ruinous to the war effort. I wouldn't be surprised, Darth Plato. I don't know how Vader does it, but he manages to get out of the impossible. Out of the impossible, that man is truly talented. Julian says she. Yes, it is a woman. Why don't I know what she looks like? It's okay. It's okay. Um, it says that Rook Cast even has similar armor when we see pictures of her. So maybe I'll pull up a picture of Rook Cast just for the hell of it, and see if I could go from there. Was she a let's see, she made her first appearance. Yeah, why don't I've heard of her, but I don't really know anything about her. So let's see if I can get a picture of her. She led the Shadow Collective after Darth Maul, leader of the Shadow Collective. It says yeah, I've never seen this character. I know she existed, but I've never seen her. Was she ever in the comic? Not the comics. Was she ever in Rebels or in any of the animated series, guys? Let me know. It says that she was in Darth Maul, Sons of Darthamir, which I'm assuming is a comic. But it's good to know because here she is. This is really just a picture of a comic thing. But it is good to know that she exists, and I'm gonna bring it up here. And it says that she was in part of Death Watch and the Shadow Collective, which is what we knew. Um, yeah, is Cast a clan? One of the Mandalorian clans, guys? So I'm gonna bring it up, just show a picture of her, Rook Cast here just quickly so that we can see that. And maybe I can find a picture of her helmet as well, guys. Thank you, single songwriter. Thank you for that. I certainly will be showing that here going forward. Why can I not see that? That's okay. So sad they binned off getting, yeah, let's see what happens with that. Evil Face Bad says Star Trek comics are fantastic to where I'm reading where Cisco's back and he's helping find out who's killing the gods and Star. Now, Evil Face Bad, I have never read a Star Trek comic. And Julian, who is in the chat right now, I'm going to be going over a lot of Star Trek books and things like that right here on the channel, continuing after PGF Treks, after the Picard series season 3 ends. Julie and I are going to going extensively deep diving into this stuff. But I hadn't thought about it. Julian, do you read the Star Trek comics? This sounds really cool. I didn't even know that existed. Thank you so much, Evil Face Bad, for that. Rook to A4, Knight to King 2, or, I don't know how to say all of the, movements on a chessboard, but I couldn't help myself. Thank you, Darth Plato, for keeping it real. And Julian says, if they want to bring in an established character, she could certainly be a totally new character. Yes. Okay. So single songwriter. It was only in the Clone Wars. I didn't see her, but I'm going to look. I have a feeling it was at the point when everything went to hell, and poor little Sabine is in a bad way, and her mom comes and rescues her, and everything is just going apart. Thank you. Season 7 of Clone Wars, Siege of Mandalore, and that does make sense that that's when that would happen, right? It looks like something from Spartacus. She was also in Rebels. Gee, I really need to go back and watch it. And the only Star Trek comic I read was a crossover with the X-Men. Kirk flirted with Jean Grey, and that does not surprise us. So let me get this picture up of that I have. Of course, it's from Star Wars Fandom of Rook Cast. It may not be the best picture, but here it says she's a human female Mandalorian warrior who led the Shadow Collective super commandos in the Clone Wars after Maul's imprisoned. Leader of the Shadow Collective was imprisoned by the Sith to Stygian Prime. Cassian Commando Gar Saxon freed Maul and brought him to the Shadow Collective base at Zanbar. Okay, I kind of remember a little bit of this. This is her. I wonder if, oh, I see the helmet right there. It's just a little bit of the helmet. It looks like, of course, Maul's face because when she became a member of Death Watch, maybe everybody had helmets like that. I don't know. So let's see if they have another picture of her here. There she is in front of Recast, I guess. And yeah, I see her there now. This is a panel from one of the trying to get it up closer, but you can kind of see her helmet here a little bit. I hope you can see it. I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to make myself smaller. So we can see Rook Cast here on the right next to Darth Maul. And of course, the Armorer's helmet, it's the coolest looking helmet with the horns of the Darth Myrians, and it looks amazing. King to Queen's level 3. And Star Trek Rebels, a Maquis series back in the day would be cool. Absolutely. 000. And Julian says, I've not read any Star Trek comics unless you count the Gold Key. Well, you know something, guys? It's been a pleasure kind of talking about this episode. As I told you, I love Coruscant. So anything with Coruscant on it, absolutely makes me so excited. But it was also very interesting seeing Pershing and Aaliyah there on this beautiful city. I know some of you didn't think it was a great place, but it reminds me a lot of New York. Although New York isn't as perfect as Coruscant, certainly they are praising how great Coruscant is. And yet Pershing was such a prisoner there. And of course, let's see if we ever hear back from him. I love the thoughts that you guys gave, especially you single songwriter with them having used that on Grogu. Yes, maybe she is Rook Cast, as Julian said. Many of you were commenting. What did you guys think of this episode? Did you like episode 3 of The Mandalorian? Is Rook Cast the armorer? There's some of her depiction there. And I'm going to go back in there, just look at a few more depictions of Rook Cast. I'm going to close that one out. Let's see if we can see her there with her armor there. You can see, wow, that looks ominous, right? Look at it does have pointy points right here. There's little pointy points on her helmet. Yeah, her armor looks badass. And let's look at one more picture. I'm sure they'll have something else of her because she has a lot more points on the top of her helmet than is shown. So what I'm going to do, oh, here she is. So this is her during the Siege of Mandalore. And yeah, clearly I have seen this episode. Yeah, I've seen this before. So I need to go back and rewatch it. It's fun seeing these things there. Certainly, regardless of what happens at this point, if it's her, it would be amazing, guys. So yeah. So, guys, I do just want to, Mandalorian, thank you so much. Single Songwriter says, I like them all when you watch them one after the other. Absolutely. I prefer it better that way, Single Songwriter. I think it is amazing that way. And it reads so well. And as I said, I also like to watch the comics, Star Wars comics. These guys dramatize it and they read it and talk about the comics, not just the new ones, but of course, ones from before. So I knew a little bit about the Vader ones because they were covering those as well. But I know some other ones too, although the names of the ones escape me. And Gary Banner Sandwich is making a point about Mandalorian. And a lot of people are saying that this, I guess, maybe reminded them of Andor. Tom Jr. Jackson says, I thought it was on the edge of your set episode with some mystery thrown into it. Yeah, I agree. Looks like Governor Price. Fair enough. Wex Wuther says, people are complaining it was boring, but I found the Doctor's emotional turmoil interesting. The stuff with Mando was great. I loved it myself, Wex Wuther. I thought it was incredibly interesting. Certainly something to think about. We were left with a lot of fun stuff to contemplate. As far as I'm concerned. So I agree with you on that, Wex. Julian says, Bo being able to wield the Darksaber shows she was in the right headspace to lead Mandalore now. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, single songwriter. And Darth Plato says Bo is about to steal this show. Well, she certainly does have all the cards. The question is, did the armorer really believe that Mandalore was uninhabitable, or did she know it was fine? She just says that to discourage people from going there. So there's a lot about her that we, yes, single songwriter makes a good point. Grogu made that "I don't trust her" face. Yeah, that is something to think about. Now, there is one other thing that I wanted to say, guys. I made a short about R5. Why did I make a short about R5? I made a short about R5 because R5 did something that I didn't know he was going to do. And it's not so shocking. R5D4 plugged into Bo-Katan's ship. Did you guys see that part? While he was on Bo-Katan's ship and Bo-Katan was saving the Mandalorian, so to speak, you'll notice that he's kind of there. He acts a little scared, like little fraidy cat, but he pretty much plugged into Bo-Katan's ship. And when these droids plug into the ship, right, they can download information. And I'm wondering, what did R5 discover about Bo-Katan even, or what's going on? Because it seems like Din still doesn't have a lot of information. Yeah, that's true. Gotta go, gang. Bye, Julian. May the force be with you. This is the way. I'm going to wrap this up as well. I'm going to go back to Darth Plato and look to see every face that Grogu made and see if I can read what he's thinking. And Evil Face Bad says, I'm enjoying the Mando on Picard season 3 way more than The Last of Us. And I couldn't have said it any better, Evil Face Bad, but I just wanted to contemplate the idea that R5 might have more information, might be the most informed individual here, possibly knowing as much as R2 and beyond. So perhaps having R5 around might be a blessing for Din, for someone who really needs to know more about what's going on in this universe around him. And he's so in the dark still. That swarm of fighters had to come from a destroyer. Yeah, Darth Plato, it makes sense. I really wish I had a spaceship. Yeah, I really wish I was on Coruscant right now, Wex, or Namos or Tassio Moon. Maybe we can go together. Single songwriter says, now you're thinking in the right direction, single songwriter, who says maybe R5 activated some tracking beacon and that's how they found her. You know something, single songwriter? You never know what goes on in this galaxy. We don't know what his original programming was or where he came from. All we know is that the Jawas offered him. And then, of course, Pele offered him to Din. And so there could be all sorts of things. Single songwriter, that hadn't even occurred to me what the repercussions could be of R5 patching in. But they made you see that R5 patched in. We saw that. And it's got to mean something because they wouldn't go ahead and show us that. Darth Plato says R5 is OG, absolutely. And Wex Waitler says, your chariot awaits, my dear. Well, I'm going to come out and join you, Wex Ruther. Let's shuttle on down. It's only a few parsecs away from Earth, from what I understand. Even though Coruscant is not in the center of the galaxy, people consider it to be the center. And of course, tonight, guys, I want to thank my moderator, my collaborator, Tom Jr. Jackson, for moderating as always, and making thumbnails, doing all that stuff for me. Thank you, Tom Jr. Jackson. Make sure you guys subscribe to his channel. I got a lot coming up this weekend and week. Julian and I are going to be doing our review tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a review tomorrow morning of Horatio Hornblower with Darth Plato. So do check that out as well. I'm also going to be streaming with Lorena as well, and Midnight Musings. Saturday, we're going to be doing a Smile review. On Sunday brunch, and of course on Monday will be Ladies of the PGS. I hope you all are well out there, guys. Please do check out all the stuff that I'm bringing to you and continue to share your opinions. I love that you guys are telling me what you think in the chat because it gets fun and we get to think about different theories and things like that. So I do want to thank all of you for showing up tonight. It's such a pleasure talking Star Wars with you all and Star Trek and all the things that we love. So thank you for joining me tonight. And I did want to say to all of you out there, no matter where you are in the galaxy, always remember to please be kind. Take care, everybody.